not just the news specifically regarding the UFO topic. Um, I am very clear, and I think I am perfectly right in my assessment that we have hit a new point in our existence. What I mean by that, especially from the standpoint of us in this country, it's a new normal. For the UFO community, with the report that came out, they were massively underwhelmed by the report. I was on the moon by the report. I thought the report was probably one of the most profound things that has ever happened in the context of this country or in the history of this country, especially on this issue because of the implications of what it means. I get that the UFO community that might be ensconced in this issue constantly. They may know all of the history of it, the background, the end, all that stuff. They know where the bodies are buried. They know all of the things that might have come up. They know all of the politics, all that stuff. The rest of the world and the rest of the country is not. And more importantly than the rest of the country that is not on the up and up on all that stuff, you have this other bar, this other problem that was just resolved with the DNI report being released. The problem of whether it's real, the problem of credibility. It's no different than a political issue and a political person who's running. This guy is running. Does this guy have the chance to win? And regardless of what is coming out the guy's mouth in regards to policy and everything else, first and foremost is, does he have a chance to win? Is he credible? All of the Freedom of Information Act requests that have been released, all of the sightings that people may have, all of that stuff was there to begin with. That's true. But that's secondary to whether or not people consider it to be a credible issue, whether they considered that stuff. Meaning, yes, the stuff was real. No, they didn't take it as serious because the political space and the media space never took it as serious. What just took place yesterday with the report that, again, a lot of people are saying is insufficient, I think those people are radically wrong, was that for the first time in the history of this country, you've been told by the Office of Director of National Intelligence, meaning a governmental body, writing a report for the consumption of the public, that this issue is real. There's a there there. These are physical matter things. This is a physical matter reality issue. It's not interdimensional fish. It's not swamp gas. There's a there. There are objects that our pilots are encountering. There are things that are nearly crashing into our pilots. There's technology that the people are seeing. And that our capacity up to this point has been hindered by a giggle factor, meaning people not being willing to report what they've been seeing, especially what they've been seeing has deviated so radically from what their expectations that they just kept it to themselves. There's that. There's the inability to research and to actually have some kind of scientific investigation in regards to what it is. There's the inability of our systems to actually appropriate and figure out what it is because they're not geared to do that. Meaning you have a report that says, hey, this is real. We are confirming as a flat fact, as if God himself has put his finger on it and said, this is real. You've never had that. On top of that, we need more research. We need more research. We need more information. We need more scientists. We need more tech in regards to technological capabilities of studying this stuff. We need more assistance in figuring out what this can be. We need the ability to cross-correlate information. We need the ability to look at this with a clear eye and figure out what is it. You were never going to be told it was aliens. The best that you were ever going to get is this is real. And not only did you get this is real, you got this is real with a screaming for your political institutions, your scientific institutions to take it seriously. Screaming that these things, some of this, is advanced technology. And in the context of it being advanced technology, we don't know what it is. I told you were going to get doubt. Doubt in the context of this assumption that we're alone in the universe. And that assumption has been blown out the water. It's not that the report is screaming that they're aliens, nor is it that the governmental body is going to go out screaming that they're aliens, or that you even want scientists running out screaming that they're aliens. What you want is a change of the paradigm. That there's a there to this. This is not a giggle factor issue. And you got it in the most specific and the most serious context possibly in the case of national security. Now, be careful what you wish for. This is not conceptual anymore. Anything that happens now happens in physical matter reality, the way it is recorded, the way the public responds, the way the media responds, the way the political instrument responds, the way your science and engineering systems respond, the technology that is spawned as a result of that, and what effect that technology has in our physical matter world, whether that is used in a sense of national security, flying devices that are basically using anti-gravity to stay in orbit for God knows how long in order to drop munitions that can hit a particular place anywhere around the world. Yeah, I'm saying that whatever happens now is stuck in our real world. This is no longer conceptual. And the thing that we're talking about here is not this country has that. We're talking about there are things that are breaking our paradigm. And those things are now being accepted as real. Whether they are us, meaning from this planet, or whether they're not us, is up for grabs. But the fact that it's up for grabs at all is the first time that has ever happened. Immediately following that, because again, for the first time, your political instrument has said, this is real, meaning your intelligence assets, this is real. This is not swamp gas. This is not interdimensional fish. Our palettes are encountering stuff. Some of the stuff we can explain. Some of it we can't. And it's the ones that we can't that is problematic and that we need to discuss. And in the context of that, making it very clear that this stuff is invading our national security space at will. Constantly. And by the way, this is a constrained report. This was only for the last 10 years. This was only 100 and something items that they were encountering. So this is not even going stuff back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. This is a very constrained report. And even with this conservative report, with this constrained information, you still get, we don't know. We need more. Give us more opportunities for scientific investigation. And I also want to point out the giggle factor that they are trying to basically destroy. Because this is now real. Because you can no longer ignore this. Because one of your intelligence services have basically said this is a real thing. This is a clear national security issue. You get an X-Files division that comes out immediately. Immediately. Right here. Department of Defense. Who, by the way, has a lot of explaining to do, but we'll get to that one later. A recent report from the Office of Director of National Intelligence highlights the current challenges associated with assessing unidentified aerial phenomena occurring or near Department of Defense training ranges and installations. It is critical that the United States maintain operation security, safety, and Department of Defense ranges. To this end, it is equally critical that U.S. military air crews or government personnel report whenever aircraft or other devices interfere with military training. This includes observation and reporting of UAPs. The report confirmed that the scope of the UAP activity extends significantly beyond the purview of the Secretary of Navy, who heads the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, and suggests process improvements to ensure timely collection of consistent data on the UAP, consistent with the recommendation, and to improve partnership with the ODNI and other non-Department of Defense organizations. I direct the Office Under Secretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security to develop a plan to formalize the mission currently performed by the UAP Task Force. X-Files. The moment that the report was released, within a few minutes, the X-Files division has been created, pulling together information from all of these various entities to understand and to study. Right here, let's keep going. This is short. Establish procedures to synchronize collection, reporting, and analysis on UAP problem set, and to establish recommendations for securing military test and training ranges. Identify requirements for establishment and operations of new activity to include organization alignment, resources, and staffing required, as well as necessary authorities and timeliness for implementation, timeline for implementation. Be developed in coordination with the principal staff assistants, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the secretaries of the military departments, and the commanders and the combatant commands with the DNI and other relevant interagency partners. The moment that the report is released, your world changed. Your government, billions of dollars and everything else, has just said this is real. Your media and everything else is going to conform to the fact that the government has just said this is real because that's the way media functions. And in this, your government, military, has to say, all right, we need to figure out what this is. How can you not? You've just had a report saying we don't have enough information, we don't have the capability. There are things that are flying in our airspace. There are advanced tech in some of these cases. Our pilots are saying that we train our pilots to the tune of billions of dollars. We can't blow off our pilots, nor our radar, nor our other technology that has been seeing this stuff at the exact same time, meaning it's not swamp gas or light that's flying around on the screen. It's a real thing. How do you ignore it? You can't. The point I'm trying to make to the UFO community, I guess, is that the context of this moment cannot be understated. Your government has said this is real. And everything that extends from that will have to logically extend from that, including the new X-Files division with the military, defense, and everybody else in between collecting information on UAPs and UFOs. You got what you wanted. It's real. Be careful what you wish for, because it's real. And since I function in politics, this is now more firmly in my domain. And this gets scary. What do they do with this information? Right. One of the things I want to point out is what Marco Rubio said. When a political leader is given a speech, the speech is not a throwaway. Oftentimes, when it's something significant, when it's something that is a big deal, that speech is combed over. They know and they fight over each and every word that is put out because each and every word has a significance and a meaning that the public is going to languish over. Some of these things are subjective because words are not necessarily great in getting across what the person and the individual is actually thinking. I am a husband, and as a husband in a marriage with a wife, I guess any husband will be aware of it, right? People in general. You say things. Today is a good day. What does that mean? What does it mean to the person? Because that's really all that matters, right? And yet, saying that doesn't quite get across what it means. It takes explanation, it takes all of this other stuff. It takes you making symbolism and comparisons. This day was equivalent to me jumping off of a roof while doing crack with dynamite strapped to my back. That's how exciting. That type of stuff. It's like you have to add all of this other stuff in to kind of get across in context of what it means to you. Politicians, when they're giving these speeches, some of these things, they want to language in the fuzz or the fudge, the subjectivity of it all, of a word where they can back away from it or so forth. But the fact that a word is there, or that words are there in particular, has meaning, has value, and were there and put there specifically. I want to go into Marco Rubio's speech for the moment. The political leaders apparently had this report for a while. They knew what was in it. And they knew what was going to be in the classified and unclassified version. We weren't giving images, video, pictures, telemetry of craft going at fantabulous speeds and then making a right turn. We weren't given imagery of something popping out of the water and then popping up into space at ridiculous speeds. Yes, we were told these pilots saw it. Yes, we were given video of things that we could see these funny blips on the screen and everything else to pique the imagination and pique activity and interest. And we were given pilots who would say, we saw this or we saw that. We see these things X and Y. But the public itself wasn't given the video of something doing something obscene that breaks our laws of physics. What you were given, however, were people to explain it, people to pique the interest, people to push for congressional investigations, reports to force and demand additional research and additional investigations. That what you were given. Marco Rubio, however, comes out and says something, I think he's the first one to say something, that is rather astonishing when you think about it. The report doesn't give us the fantastic. The report asserts it. But the fact that the report asserts it in and of itself, the report is supposed to be a synthesis of classified information. So the fact that the report asserts it on some level, I don't think people will be there that would assert it if they didn't necessarily have the background things to do it. The various people who are in political positions, where it was Ratcliffe, whether it was some of the people who were in the CIA, whether it was Rubio, or whether it was Elizondo, these people did have access to classified data, classified information. They do and were able to see the background stuff. And even though they're limited in what they could say, they do say things sometimes that get across what they saw, especially since that's not what you're seeing. Meaning, if somebody is asserting something, let's say like Rubio, when he comes out and gives a statement on a report that is literally historic, then that statement that Rubio is given needs to be combed over and taken for what it is, that it was intentional, that each word was put there with intent and purpose to get something across. We will be having congressional hearings. Look at Rubio's statement for the moment. This is Rubio. Right here. For years, the men and women we trust to defend our country reported encounters with unidentified aircraft that had superior capabilities, and for years their concerns were often ignored and ridiculed. This report is an important first step in cataloging these incidents, but it's just a first step. Go back to the first paragraph. For years, the men and women we trusted to defend our country reported, quote, encounters with unidentified aircraft that had superior capabilities. All right, Rubio, you've seen the reports then. You've heard these people say this stuff, and you've been able to look at the classified materials. And you've put yourself out here ahead of this, being the first person to comment when this report came out, with this statement being the first statement to come out when that report first came out. It's like the moment that report came out, this statement came out almost behind it. You are asserting very clearly that the men and women who have been reporting superior capabilities, basically that they are not wrong in their assessment. That's why you are making this statement. And for years, their concerns were often ignored. This report is an important first step to catalog these experiences. The Defense Department and intelligence community have a lot of work to do before we can actually understand whether these aerial threats present a serious national security concern. Rubio's point is, not only is it real that these service members have been reporting this, and we can no longer ignore the fact that they've been reporting this. Rubio is making the point that the reports are legit. The reports are real. Rubio would know this because Rubio could see the classified reports for himself. And we would have to believe that Rubio, who's running at this point in an election year for him, is willing to take this step without having something to back it up on. I don't believe he would. I don't believe Rubio would take that step. And that's not even me liking Rubio as a political actor. I don't. By the same token, on this very specific issue, when Rubio is making a statement like this, Rubio is not making the statement casually. And a statement can't be made as a throwaway. He's backing up the service members who've come out saying, we've been seeing technology that is better than our own. He's backing up whatever he's seeing behind the scenes to make that particular assessment. And within the first statement to come out, a statement that is going to be on some level historic, considering that the document that is coming out for is going to be historic, being one of the first people out there on it, he's making the point that the people who've been seeing this advanced tech isn't wrong. Nobody's saying it's aliens, but we are asserting and we are making clear that the tech and the advanced tech that is superior to our own are real. That statement is astonishing. The statement is astonishing. Rubio is an acting chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. And Rubio is the one that dropped the language in for the Office of Director of National Intelligence to submit a congressional intelligence report on this issue. He's taking a leadership position on it. And like I said, Rubio is very cagey when you try to talk to him and get him on it because he's not going to go too far. But the fact that Rubio is making a statement saying, all right, this report is out. This is a real thing. Now, I am perfectly within a position to say, in a national security standpoint, that what these people have been seeing is real in this advanced tech. Question. Since this is now real, I don't have to deal with the argument of, is it real or not? That's gone. The only question that we're having now, is it us? Is it Russia or is it China? And when I ask that question, I already know. I know that Marco Rubio knows. I know that the intelligence knows. I know that the people who are behind the scene knows. That they know whether or not it's us or not. Never going to say. They would take one step at a time. They would never put themselves out there in regards to saying it's not us. But they will say it's advanced technology that seems to blow our stuff away. But in them saying that, they also know that the idea that we spend $1 trillion on our military and that there's stuff out there that is blowing our stuff away, where it's a leapfrog technology, they know by virtue of them saying that they're getting across to the public a certain perspective that they know the public is going to take. Some of the stuff is probably not us, has to be, just by definition, almost in probability. It is going to be Russia and China, some kind of secret tech and everything else. But that's not what they're talking about. And what they're talking about is like radically different. And so it will be one step at a time. It will be slow. It will be plodding. You're not going to have any Congress members to walk out and say it's aliens because they can't do that. They will get destroyed in a political space. What they will do is allow intel to eliminate the other possibilities. So you as the public are stuck with a particular perspective. that the government ends up being stuck with a particular perspective. How long that takes, I have no idea. But you would get a report, you would get a congressional hearing, you would get stuff like that. And this is the way this was always going to look. It's sausage making. It's just sausage making on UFOs. It's very weird. New world. This is a new world. Like, share, and of course, subscribe.